This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Mr. Darren Till, what's happening, geez?
How are we, mate? You okay?
Good,
yeah,
mate. Good.
Very good, very good.
You're in fucking great spirits considering you've made weight today and you're fighting tomorrow.
It was an easy weight cut, so I'm happy.
You're happy. You're a happy man. You're drinking Prime.
It's all right. People slate it, mate, but it's there. Eh? You gotta have a go over.
We don't hate it. Fair play.
Yeah.
How's fight week been? Yesterday was chaos. I was speaking to some of the guys. I almost felt it kind of didn't really allow you to speak a little bit, annoyingly. It kind of felt like a bit too many people at times.
Well, yeah, I was never going to speak, and I think a lot of people are waiting for me at these press conferences now to do shit. And
go mad.
Yeah, it's not the case of that. Like, I'm not a guy who's just gonna turn up and just act erratic for the sake of acting erratic. I know that whole thing back in December with Tommy and John. Well, obviously people loved that and that, but as I say, I'm fighting Darren, and there's not a hell of a lot to say for me and Darren. We're gonna fucking have a war tomorrow, hopefully. But I just have to, I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to knock you out and that's it. There's not a lot to say. A lot of people were doing a lot of talking, and that's because that's their first time on the stage. So they're all feeling like they have to do that and create this mad beef. But I just had to step in at one point and shut something down for the guy on me like Ty, because, a distasteful comment got made. So I thought, I'm going to show these guys how to be a little bit respectful now at times, sometimes to show respect, when to show respect and show disrespect. So I gave him his moment to speak about the comment that got made, and that was sort of my only input, really.
But did that bother you at all? I mean...
No.
You weren't bothered about it?
No, I'm not bothered. I didn't have a lot to say, as I said. There was no one up there I've got any beef with.
Yeah.
I've got no beef with Darren. The guy next to Darren, I've got no beef with him, but he seems to think he's got beef with me. I don't know why. He's about 5 weight classes below me, so what kind of beef's that? Everyone knows me there. Yous know me. I don't really need to say a lot to get myself. They're all just trying to push it, and I get it. It is the circus, so when you join the circus, you have to be prepared.
I feel like you rise to if you've got an opponent that's worth giving it to, and I feel like you've known Darren from the MMA circuit. There's no point forcing something that don't exist, right?
I'm not... I think as it goes on in this boxing world, I think a lot of people are going to start to understand, just as the MMA world, the type of guy I am. I've got a lot of, I like to think so. I've had a lot of morals and values and respect and disrespect at the time when it needs to be disrespect. But I'm not just going to say things for the sake of saying things. I know, see you later, son to that, mate. I'm not going to just like... I know people over the years have seen what I'm like on social media, but they need to understand I don't treat social media as a serious thing. It's a joke to me. It's just an app, and it's just a joke. I don't ever get serious on it, and I'm never going to get serious on it. Most of the people that say shit on there to me, they're never going to say it in my face, are they? So I don't really give a shit. What their opinion on me is none of my business. People's opinion on me is none of my business. So, people are going to learn quick that I'm a unique character.
There's two people in life I never wanted to get in a Twitter war with. Yourself and Sonny Edwards.
Yeah.
That's just
I've heard that a lot. Me and Sonny apparently stay away. Yeah.
Sonny's not on there no more.
No, yeah, that's true. I've probably been undefeated on Twitter. I think one time I had a loss. Some guy got me up, but yeah, I'm undefeated on that Twitter. Don't get into it with me.
It's a mad old world, Twitter. I bite sometimes myself. I think, what the fuck am I doing, man? Let's talk, just lastly, on the whole Misfits press conference yesterday. You've been on the biggest occasions with the UFC and everything. You're making a name for yourself on this. It's nice to see you box with the gloves on against good opposition as well. Do you sometimes look around and think, oh my God, what the fuck? Like I know Darren Stewart did yesterday. He was almost a little bit bewildered at everything.
I do in the sense because as much as it is all fun, it's fucking great to watch, bear in mind, it's great TV, it's entertainment, that's why we're all here. And that's why it has grown to be so big. But I think sometimes I do, only for the fact that I've given my life to fighting, 20 years of hard-earned fighting, and I've never once gone to the gym and thought, I want to dick about here, or just people can see how I am with my coaches. I'm a very respectful guy to my coaches. I listen and learn, and so for my 20 years, this is all I've done in my life. I've got a full new set of teeth because my old teeth all got knocked out. I haven't done this as a joke. So sometimes when I see them joking about actual fighting, because I know what real fighters are actually capable of, even most of the real boxers in the gym there, they're a ton, they're all high level pros. I think, guys, you just don't actually know what it's like to be like
it's almost like what we were talking about earlier when we were saying, like, you know, at the end of the career, you risk sort of brain injury, things like that. When you've been doing it from such a young age to then...
Yeah, and especially some people aren't as fortunate. I like to think that I've got half a little brain to maybe go on after fighting, but some of these guys, mate, they get into that many wars, and especially we were having a conversation over what's more dangerous, boxing and MMA, and it's a complete no-brainer. Boxing is the more dangerous sport to fight for, and that's because of the 12 rounds of head trauma. You get 12 rounds and you're not allowed to stop, start, whatever, of head trauma. MMA, we were talking about elbows, but you're lucky if you're going to get 5 big elbows off you, you're allowed to grapple. Don't get me wrong, MMA is a brutal sport to train for and even to be in there for, but it's not sort of on the brain heavy, so we do have to respect all the high-level pros who take it to 35 fighting, because usually when fighting's done, they haven't got a lot of opportunity around them.
Let's talk about Tommy Fury. He obviously fought last Friday. I'm sure you'll get posed this question a million times over. I quite like him, but I find myself a little bit, I suppose, irritated at times. I really liked the fight with you and him. I thought that first press conference was brilliant. It was one of the best I've been to in London. Brilliant. We left the day, I went and had a beer with Oscar, and I thought, fucking hell, that was fun, wasn't it? It was almost like cinema in front of us. And now he's sitting in this sort of position where he fought in however many rounds it was in Budapest. And does it irritate you a little bit? I suppose you kind of, no?
No, it just simply doesn't bother me. I did my job. What did I do? I walked the Furies out of boxing, so everyone should be thanking me first, because they've terrorised everyone in boxing for years. John's been a nuisance for years, no one's been able to stop him, and little old Darren comes along and just stops him in one press conference. But yeah, you know, at the time I was like, because when I seen the post, Liam in the gym showed me and he went, oh, you didn't know till? And I went, no, I've just found out now, like through you, mate, thanks for the news. And I was just like, you're pulling out, mate, or why are you pulling out? Have you heard rumours that I'm better than you thought, or are you actually pulling out over the kick? He never ever pulled out over the kick, so we'll never know what his real reasons for, because at one point he was saying that apparently I was speaking to betting companies. I mean, okay, mate, but at the time I was a little bit irritated, but now I'm certainly not irritated, because even Tommy's doing interviews saying that I blew me chance, but I'm the one fighting on Misfits main event, what you were meant to be fighting on, and now you're fighting in Hungary on an unknown event for getting however much, 20k or something like that. It's just like, understand it. But Tommy obviously is, you know, shit for brains, and he's got nothing going on up there, so I think I said the IQ of a loaf of bread or something like that, and it went viral. So yeah, it is what it is, mate. If we fight one day, we fight, but I make sure that I'm the A-side and I'm getting the most money.
I remember you saying earlier how comfortable you feel making weight, how good you feel in terms of being a fighter, like in terms of being really fresh. You referenced it to your days in the UFC. Obviously, you were a lot skinnier then. It was different weights and whatever. What do you want out of this now? Because we can all sit here as fans and go, well, we'd like to see you lever Jake Paul or something like that. But I suppose there's an element of kind of, there seems to be a bit of a pecking order list for that Jake Paul. Chavez Jr.'s got it now. No one really, like, they're talking about Gervonta Davis exhibition and whatever. What do you want to get out of this yourself?
Well, for sure, I would love to fight Jake Paul. Yeah, of course, it's a lot of money and he is a superstar. Like, let's not slice it, dice it. And he can really fight, he can, and he puts a lot of hard work and effort in. I'm never going to discredit someone for stuff like that. But in the same breath, I'm not going to sit here and beg, oh, please pick me, Jake, pick me, like I'm some whore on the street. Like, pick me, Jake, please. No, love the fight. If it comes along, I'll be made up to make 5 million quid. And if it doesn't come, I'm all right. I'm not suffering in life. But I think what I want out of it, I think there's a lot of things to do in this influencers. You know, I can get a lot of fights back. Like Jorge Masvidal knocked me out in the UFC. He's in the boxing game now, so I can get that one back because I'll knock him flat out. Mike Perry, that's the fight that everyone wants. I'll knock him flat out. KSI needs to decide whether he wants to be a fighter or not. We'll see on that. So you've got that, you know, you've obviously got the Jake, as we've mentioned. Nate Diaz, he's into boxing. That'd be a lovely fight, you know, give him a pounding. But then my coaches up at the Rotunda who've dealt with pros for years, they actually think that I could make a dent in the pro game.
Would you give it a go? I'd love to see that.
Look, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I can guarantee if you went and spoke to every person who sparred me in the past 2 years, all the pros who've come in, they'll say, listen, mate, we all come in, thought Darren was an MMA fighter, and we left saying that fucking kid can fight. I can fight, I give it, I can fucking hit hard, and I can fucking box. And my coaches believe in me, they say, Till, you know, mate, if you want to turn over to this pro game, have a fucking go. I think the only thing with that is, mate, that corruption, that pro game, I don't think I could deal with all that. I don't think I could deal with that corruption. I'm I'm too messed up in the brain for that. My brain wouldn't be able to... They're just corrupt fuckers. It's just corruption to the totalist. Every show is just corruption. It's always to benefit who they think's going to be the star, and it's so corrupt. It's a corrupt place to be.
I'd like to pick up on that. We were chatting about Eubank Ben earlier, and obviously Chris Eubank Jr. now the board investigating the way that he made weight. It's no secret fighters use saunas. I know they say you're not allowed to. I suppose if you then disclose it, but... You know, if that was a suspicion, you bring it up beforehand, not when the 12 rounds are done, right? I mean, what did you think of all that?
Well, again, it's corruption, isn't it? But one fight got pulled because there wasn't enough money around it. And I know you're asking me this because you know I'm going to give you the good soundbite for it, so I will give you the good soundbite that you're asking for. It was fucking disgusting, because why didn't the fight get pulled? And why are they investigating it after? That doesn't... None of them could sit here to me, that board of whoever, and say, well, because... No, it's not because of this and that, because you pulled the other fight, but you're not going to pull that, but oh no, after it you're going to save your back and investigate it. Again, what I'm telling you, corruption, moralist cunts. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm a UFC casual, but I feel like on a topic like this, it's an opportunity for me to pick your brain as a fan, really. When you compare, obviously, the UFC being one big governing body, as a whole, it kind of is the sport. You've got your PFLs and your Bellator, but let's be real, it takes that main centre.
It is, yeah.
You compare that to the million boards you've got in America, every different state having a board, the British Boxing Board of Control, every other board, and then do you think it's considerably fairer in the UFC and MMA? Yeah.
Now, I know
does that really stand out for you?
It's tough. It's very tough, because what you've just said about obviously in the boxing and then you got the UFC, it's very tough for me because I've been at the highest level in UFC, and I know there's this thing about money, and yet when you're at the highest level in boxing or even the mid level, the money's ridiculous. You know, every fight's, as we've just seen with Chris and Conor, you know, they're not world level yet or ever will be. They've just made tremendous amounts of money. Like Chris Eubank Jr. is getting fined 500 grand for missing, I don't know, was it point whatever, like 500 grand.
0.05.
Fucking 500 grand. Like, oh my God, 500 grand. That's so much money. So as I say, the money in boxing is ridiculous. That's where I know there's this argument over UFC's taking over. And you know what? It has took over in terms of popularity. But in terms of that type of thing,
securing the bag,
we're very much, in the MMA world, we're very much below. But what I will say is, and this is what you'll understand, is in the UFC, there's one boss, and what he says goes. So when we had the title fight, I think it was between between Charles Oliveira, and if I'm not mistaken, it was either Islam Makhachev or someone else. There was a pullout, and what they done was they got the number one guy to be a step in. Like that does not happen in boxing. These numpties, these Garcias and Devin Haney's are fighting nobodies. These Gervonta Davises are fighting nobodies. Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury want to fight now. Nobody wants to see that.
We've been asking that question for 10 years.
For 10 years. I wanted to see it 10 years ago. Don't bear in mind, I love the pair of them. I think they're great. I think Joshua's a tremendous ambassador, and Tyson as well. But 10 years ago was really, as a fan I am, get that fight. But now, what, you're trying to take all our money? And obviously we're all going to be stupid enough to pay, but I'm not interested in that stupid ass fucking fight happening now. You've both missed the boat. You've both got about 10 losses on your record now, so no one's asked about the fight. But in UFC, that would never happen. One boss, and what he says goes, and it's fucking fantastic. He's gonna make the Tom Aspinall Jon Jones fight for sure. He definitely will get it made because he knows we won it. Go? Well, I've trained with Tom my whole life, so obviously I have to say Tom, but it's not obvious. I do think Tom, strategy-wise, can beat Jon, but Jon is the greatest MMA fighter of all time, so I can never say...
Is he as good now, though? That's the whole thing, right?
Well, that was the whole thing when he come back to fight Cyril Gane, a heavyweight, because he'd been over 2 years and he ragdolled Cyril Gane, and now he's just spinning back, Steve Miocic. Jon Jones is the greatest strategist on earth when it comes to fighting, or any fighting. He is the cleverest man to ever fight, and he is the best fighter to ever fight in MMA. It's not even comparable.
Just a couple more quick ones from me. Just the UFC as a whole. Like I said, I am a big casual, but I see the debate at the minute about a lack of stars. A lot of wrestlers are winning titles, and I don't, from just being with my mates when they're watching it,
when they're
staying up, they find it a little bit boring. And I suppose it is, on the eye, if you're a casual, a little bit more boring to watch. Is that a real issue at the minute? Does that kind of exploit an opening for the sport moving forward? In that, right, well, if that's a proven method, we're not going to see as much stand-up. We're not going to see the...
I think everyone's always known the ways to win, and so, you know, if you're fighting a wrestler, you need to stop his takedowns, and he needs to stop your striking and take you down, obviously whatever. But yeah, the one thing I will touch on is it does seem lately the UFC's dimmed a little bit for stars. I mean, I know we've got Cam's up my mate, and you've got your Paddy now coming through and Ilya Taporia, but realistically, I think that they're missing a little bit of stars, like in every division, and the divisions are seeming all a little bit boring. It's gone a little bit boring. The cards aren't feeling as exciting, but Dana did just announce 3 fights the other night that were fucking phenomenal fights, so he still does know how to pull it back. But yeah, it does seem like it's a little bit dimmed. It really does.
2 more fun ones then. How many, could 100 Darren Tills beat a gorilla?
No. We need to stop this silly ass conversation, especially 35-year-old grown men on TikTok. Can we just nip it in the bud? Can adults stop going on TikTok and talking like everyone gives a shit about what they've got to say? You're a normal person in a job. No one cares that you've just done your weekly shop at M&S. Get the fuck off social media, you idiotic person. And now we're out talking about 100 gorillas, 100 men fighting a gorilla. Like, what kind of conversation is this?
But genuinely,
I don't think 100 men could beat a silverback.
Because 100 men can't actually pound on a...
No.
You can't all get in. And then also a lot of bottles going to be gone.
It's just going to claw and bite and just destroy 100 men real quick. It really is.
So 100 Darren Tills ain't beating a gorilla.
Definitely not.
At least you're honest, mate.
I'm a very honest person. That's why that's why people like to speak to me, because they're always going to get raw, uncut. It comes to the brain and I say it. I should think before I speak, but I don't.
That's the beauty. And to be honest, mate, I was just going to wrap up and say, I think when it comes to combat sports and fighting, as Brits, we need names, we need stars, we need people who are willing to talk and put themselves out there. And I think you've done a fantastic job of that.
Thank you very much.
Over the course of the last sort of 5 to 10 years. So credit to you, really.
Thank you very
Keep fucking
much.
saying what goes on your mind, Darren.
Thank you.
You're a legend. Top man. All the best Friday.
Good.